Alrighty, so just an easy unwind. We're going to be mat-based today. So coming down to start off with, and take your knees really wide on your mat like so, and just sink your bottom back towards your heels and stretch your fingertips out in front of you, rolling shoulders away from ears. And I'm going to get you to start taking some really deep, full breaths right down into the lower lobes of the back of your lungs, right down here. So as you breathe in, it feels like you're parachuting upwards, and as you exhale, you're softening down towards your mat. Wriggle your lower jaw. Take a couple of big yawning actions with your mouth. So you stretch your cheeks. Like that. And then walk your left hand over towards the right side of your back. So you're stretching the left side of your body. Roll the shoulder away from your ears and just start to breathe deeply, opening up those left ribs here. So keep breathing. Sorry. That's it. Beautiful. And then walking the fingertips up and over to the other side. So this time, right hand going right over to the left, shoulder away from ears, breathing into that right lung, getting that lovely kind of fanning out of the ribs. Lovely. Coming back into the middle and massage your wrists. So just lifting out your hands, stretching your fingers out, massaging your wrists. And then making sure knees are directly underneath your pelvis and hands are directly underneath your shoulders. And I'm going to get you to take your tail and swirl your tail around. So just massaging the pelvis around, releasing into the lower back. Let your shoulders be nice and soft here. Let your elbows be nice and soft. Big circles. See if you can draw your chin in and pull your breathing right down into the bottom of your lungs. So we get a nice little sound like the ocean as you breathe. One direction and then the other direction with the pelvis. That's it. Hands a little bit wider for stability, knees together now. And just drop the hips to one side. So we're going right down here into the pelvis. Up and over to the other side, dropping down, getting into the IT band down the side here. Good, breathing in, breathing out. Slide your bottom back to about, we're heading to about 5 o'clock on the clock face. Slide bottom back, and then left hand stretching out to about 11 o'clock. Keep the shoulders sliding down away from your ears, breathing into the lower lobes of the back of your lungs, up and then exhaling, softening down. Just slide your bottom from side to side, like you're window washing your bottom from side to side, and then taking your hips now over to about 7 o'clock, stretching right hand out to about 2 o'clock, shoulder away from ears. Getting that stretch right across the back, breathing in, sighing the breath out. Beautiful. Now hands are even, pelvis starts to go around in a big circle. So knees are still quite close together. Big circles. Pause as you come up over your wrists. So a little bit of weight bearing over the wrists and then dropping down and just starting to notice where your hips are feeling sticky in particular. If as you come forward, you can feel your hip flexors needing a stretch, just pause there, maybe massage there, maybe pausing at the front, sliding to the side, just massaging into any spots that feel grippy, tighter. Maybe it's further back here with the bottom. So circle and then pause, and then circle, explore, and then pause, just finding those bits that need a little bit more attention Making sure your breathing is slow and rhythmic. Imagine you're feeding your breath into those spots that feel a bit congested. So one direction, and then when you're ready, just starting to slide around in the other direction. Big circles, and let your shoulders be nice and relaxed here. So as you come around, let your shoulders drop and circle and kind of get a bit of a massaging effect right around. That's the way. Lovely. Come back. Just give your wrists a flick. Knees a little bit further apart now. Lifting your tail behind you, so you're spreading those sitting bones. And then exhale, tucking the tail. And then lift the tail and then tuck the tail. So just do a couple where you're just focusing on the pelvis. You're imagining those sitting bones are spreading and then drawing together. You breathe in to lift. You breathe out completely to tuck. And once you've got the tail wagging, then start to let that movement ripple right up to the crown of your head, pausing at the top of the inhalation and then pausing at the bottom of the exhalation, pressing the floor away, rounding the back, and then lifting the heart center, lifting the head. And just notice how the movement amplifies your breathing, and your breathing can amplify the movement. Nice, slow, luxurious moves, just getting that spine, which has probably become a bit stiff from lack of use, just getting it starting to mobilize again. That's the way. Beautiful. Lifting the tail, tuck the toes for a moment, draw yourself into downward facing dog, but slowly. So we start by taking the tail up, lengthening the spine, rolling shoulders away from the ears, keeping the knees bent, coming right up as high as we can, and then starting to drop the heels one at a time. Getting a nice massage into the soles of the feet. That's the way. Pressing down. Letting your feet dance across your mat. So get a nice kind of rolling sensation right out to your little toes and then back in towards the big toes. Keep those shoulders rolling away from ears, so we're not forward and any kind of plank here. We're lifted, lifted, lifted through the sitting bones, through the tail. Drop the knees across the midline, pause. So we get right into the hips. And then the other side, pause. Good, dropping again. And again, and then just coming back down onto your knees and slide yourself over into a zigzag shape for a moment and roll your shoulders, massage your shoulders like so. And then this is my right leg, take the right arm across, lock it into place with the left arm, shoulders dropping, pressing out with the right arm and pulling in with the left arm so you get a bit of a stretch just here. And then just take the head across towards the hands. Breathe in, and then go, ah. And then as you breathe out, just feel your shoulders dropping. So you're breathing in. As you breathe in, you press out with that right hand, pull in with the left hand. Breathing out, ah. Good. Slowly come down and give yourself a lovely big stretch up and over to the side. And then up and over to the other side. That's it. Lengthening, releasing, and then back. Fabulous. Coming back into the center. So starting to activate right glutes. You squeeze the right glute, you lift the pelvis, and you drop the hip bone down, and then you release it back. So it's a big circular movement forward and back. Imagine you have a string attached to the crown of your head, lifting you up. So you stay nice and tall through the torso. And we're just mobilizing the pelvis here, going right into these hip flexors. The psoas muscle, which goes right through the pelvic floor. So stretching forward. Now just pause here. So we're pressing the knee down into the mat. Bit of a stretch into these quads. Take yourself into a twist, looking over your left shoulder. Crown of the head is lifted, pelvis is twisted. Beautiful, slowly coming back, and just give yourself a rinse the other way. Lovely. Come back into the center. Take your feet out and drop your knees from side to side. So just rinsing your hips, getting the hip joints to loosen up a little bit. You're going to get a bit of kind of rinsing out going on around the pelvis. That's it. And then taking the knees to the other side and just doing the same thing. So first of all, left hand across, locking into place with the right hand, pushing out with the left arm, pulling in with the right, lifting up. So there's a little bit of a stretch here at the same time. And then head going over towards the hands. As you breathe in, you put a little bit of pressure, stretching. As you breathe out, you soften. You feel like almost a pouring of warm water. Imagine you're under the shower, and as you exhale, you get that lovely release from the crown of the head right down through your shoulders. Good. Opening up, lengthening up and over, whole sideline of the body stretching, and then flowing. That's it. Up and over. And up and over. Beautiful. Come back into the center. And this time to your left glute. You're squeezing it. You're rolling forward and releasing. Squeeze to roll forward. Release. So if you're starting to get compression around the sacrum, and often that leads to a piriformis kind of pinching and a sciatic nervy pain down the leg, this can really help, because it just takes the glute, the bum muscle kind of off the piriformis. So lifting, rolling, releasing, lifting, rolling, releasing. And this time, lift and roll, release forward, press down through the inside of the knee. So it makes it a bit of a stronger stretch right up here. Take yourself into a twist. As you breathe in, feel the crown of the head lifting upwards. As you breathe out, just soften. And then slowly coming back. Give yourself a rinse by twisting the other way. That's the way. And then taking that left leg out. So we're going to come into Janususasana, but with our legs a bit wider. Lift your toes, spread them, then just squeeze them and then lift them back. So do a couple of kind of activations through the soles of your feet, squeezing and lifting. And then turn yourself over your bent knee. Again, a rinsing twist. Come back, slide your hand down towards your ankle, up and over, lateral stretch. Your shoulders slide down your back. And just take a couple of breaths here, where every time you inhale, it feels like your middle finger is lifting up a little bit further. You can feel the fascia, that kind of crepe bandage underneath the skin surface, lengthening, stretching on the inhale, and then softening on the exhale. Let that right hip drop downwards as you stretch your hand upwards. Good, and then plant that hand down on the mat, point your toes, push the floor away, launch yourself into a whole body stretch. That's the way. Take the hand just behind you slightly, looking down at the mat. So we get into these pectoral muscles. Keep pushing down through your shin, knee and shin down into the ground. Nice full deep breaths. And just explore with the hand, lengthening up and over, back, down. And then let's go all the way around. And all the way around, down past the hip, up past the ear. Oh, body stretch. Drop down over towards your knee and slowly come back. Beautiful. Back into a zigzag. Just turn yourself around to the side of your mat slightly and drop down. So it's almost a pigeon, but not a pigeon. Drop down here. Release. And then up. And then just fold up and over to the other side and drop down, release. And up. And so you can do it without hands, rolling up and over to the other side again, drop down. Let your body sink towards the floor, draw yourself back up, No, hands if possible, up and over to the other side again, dropping down. Beautiful, back up, we'll come back to that one. So take that right foot out this time, left foot in, like so. Give yourself that lovely little twist. So we're going over the bent knee for a moment. Now, if you find the knee is up here, just support it with a folded blanket or a brick or a pillow. So we just don't want it hanging in space. And then slide your right hand towards the ankle. Up, 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 up with the hand, drop the shoulder. Up a bit more with the hand, drop the shoulder. So it feels like the rib cage is lifting away from the pelvis. And then, so the ribs are flaring here. It's almost in two parts. And then the base of the rib cage is also opening up the side waist. So little tilts up and over, little tilts up and over. That's it. Chin drawing in. Imagine you are between two planes of glass. So you don't want to be dropping forward. You want to be pushing yourself back against the back pain. So it doesn't matter if you're high, doesn't matter if you're here at all, but try not to drop forward. Try to keep nice and lengthened, up, 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 and then sliding over. And then dynamically point the toe, lengthen the hand, heel of the hand pressing into the mat, and then up and over, full body stretch, toes and fingers reaching away from each other. And then maybe taking the hands slightly behind you, looking down at the mat so that you stretch right into those chest muscles. Keep pressing firmly through the shin as you explore that range of motion, hands slightly back, stretching the chest muscles, and then drop the hand and a full circle, massaging the shoulder, full circle here. That's the way, and then slowly coming back. And again, let's go back into that zigzag. So move yourself over to the left side of the mat slightly. Bring your right knee in a little bit. So the foot is over onto the right-hand side of the mat and the knee is on the left-hand side of the mat. Lift up, drop yourself down. Pause here so you can feel the stretch right into that left hip. And then scoop yourself up, arms up, and then to the other side and dropping down. Good. Try splitting the hands so you're like a windmill and stretching the right hand out as far as it will go. And then up, and then the left hand stretching up and then out as far as it will go. Beautiful. A couple more times. Up, oops, lost my balance. And up, and again, stretching down. Beautiful, bring it back up again. And take your legs nice and wide. So if you find that you drop down onto your tail, grab a blanket or two or the edge of a pillow, put it underneath your sitting bones, pull the fleshy bits out of your bum so that you are sitting on your sitting bones. If you need to bend your knees, you can even slide a pillow under each knee, so it's just a bit more comfortable. Massage those feet, give your feet a nice little circle around. We want to be ever so slightly hinged forward. So if I go sideways, you can see, we want to be, rather than here, we want to be lifted enough through our bottom so that it can be ever so slightly here, yeah, as we bring our toes back. And then interlace your hands and imagine you're stirring a pot. So it can be tiny little stirrings. If you are a bit more flexible and your hamstrings are not screaming at you, you might make it a bit of a bigger stirring action, but it's quite strong right here. It's going right deep into the hip joint and into those rotator muscles. So be mindful if you haven't been doing any groin opening for a while. Nice big massaging. Let your heart center be open. So try not to be rounded here. Instead, imagine there's a light from your heart center and you've got to keep the light shining forward. That's it. Chin's drawn in, but heart is lifted, chest is open. One direction, other direction, big circling movement. That's it. Beautiful. And then pause here, hands just beside you, and like a hinge, just see if you can tilt yourself forward a little bit till you feel your hamstrings going, oh yeah, thank you, I'm awake. Breathe in and lift upwards. Imagine you've got a string from the crown of your head lengthening you, shoulders down though. And then as you breathe out, see if you can tilt forward a tiny bit more. Chin's drawn in, breathe in, lengthen. And maybe tilt a little bit forward. If it's available to you, you might take your hands in front of you. And just keep doing that, another couple of breaths. Very mindful to use your breath to open and then soften. And you go to your edge, but not beyond it. So there's no pushing, there's no shoving, it's just breathing and allowing. Now imagine you've got a harness on, like, you know, when we were little, we had those, very un-PC now, but those, you know, those things you put around little toddlers. I can't remember what they're called, little harness thing. So imagine someone's got a little harness thing on you and your shoulder blades are drawing back and there's a little bit of activation through the upper back muscles. So you're not rounding here, you're kind of being drawn backwards as you're slightly hinging forward. That's it, shoulders sliding down your back. Beautiful, walk your way back up again and take your feet together in cobbler pose and just draw your feet wide. Give your feet a little bit of a massage here, drawing them nice and wide. And then drop your elbows onto your knees and give yourself a rock from side to side. Lovely. We're going to slide onto our tummies. So take your feet out to the side. Come via a sort of extended child pose. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, slide down like a caterpillar. So the elbows stay in, the hands are close, tops of the feet are on the mat. Breathe in, so you activate your upper back muscles to lift into a little cobra. Exhale down. Tops of the feet press into the mat. Legs are slightly activated. Back is very activated. So little muscles around the spine, squeezing, making you lift upwards, breathing deeply in, sighing the breath out. See if you can take your hands off the mat. Breathe in and out. So the hands are very light on the mat. They're not doing any pushing. This time as you come up, slide your hands forward and then keep imagining you've got that harness on and the harness is being gently pulled back. Shoulders away from ears, tops of the feet on the ground, knees are slightly active off the ground, bum isn't squeezing. Good. Slowly come down into cobra and then push your right hand into the mat while your left hand is out to the side and slightly bent. So your left hand is out, elbow slightly bent, and right hand's on the mat like so. And then push the right hand into the mat and roll yourself up. You need to bend your right knee a little bit and look up towards the ceiling, draping the inside of your left shoulder down to the mat. So we stretch the inside of that left shoulder right down to the chest and slowly come down, swapping sides. So now the right hand's out like a cactus, out to the side. Left hand is pushing into the mat, elbows up towards the ceiling. Push the ground away, draw yourself up onto your right hip, left knee's bent, looking up towards the ceiling over your left shoulder, and then draping the inside of your right shoulder down. And then slowly coming back. Good. Now, hands back where they were, elbows in, tummy up towards your spine. Squeeze your buttocks one at a time to lift your feet off the ground. So one buttock and then the other buttock. Squeeze and squeeze. Now, either staying with this, where you're squeezing and then laying the feet back on the ground, or if it feels okay on your lower back, you squeeze and squeeze, you do kick and kick and kick. Now, you need to lift up a little bit Notice what's going on in your back. We do need to strengthen the back. So if this is okay, then maybe take the hands off the mat as well. So we're strengthening the upper back, down into the lower back, also the glutes. If that feels fine, maybe even taking hands out in front, thumbs up, little fingers down, to make sure shoulders don't do the creep up towards the ears. Good, and then so slowly coming down, hands underneath your forehead, toes in, heels out, rock the pelvis from side to side, let your bottom wobble. Good. Now, take your right shoulder, roll it up and back, grab hold of your right foot. If you don't have that much length, use a belt or a strap or something. Just don't grab your toes, try and grab your ankle. And then we're just starting to push the pubic bone down into the ground, so we stretch the front of that right thigh into the quads. Take some nice long breaths out, so sigh the breath out, or maybe do the buzzy bee breath out. Maybe even rocking a tiny bit from side to side, so you sort of massage into the stretch. Good, dropping that foot, swapping to the other side. So first of all, massage the shoulder up and back, and then see if you can grab hold of your ankle. Starting to press the pubic bone down, softening on the exhalation, shoulders relax, cheeks relax, jaw relaxes. Quite a strong stretch. See if you can rainbow your ankle from side to side a little bit. Find where you need to take that stretch in particular. Whole of the pelvis pressing into your mat. Pubic bone dropping right down, so we get that whole stretch into the quads, also into the hip flexors. Good. Toes together again, heels out, and once more, rock, rock, rock from side to side. Now rolling onto your back. If you've got a bolster or something you can put underneath your pelvis, you can go ahead and do that. It's quite nice to have a prop for part of this. Knees up towards your chest, big circles. Releasing those hip joints again, one direction and the other direction. And then pressing the feet up towards the ceiling and then dropping and pressing the heels away and dropping. So you're pushing heels but pulling toes. And then pause and keep the pelvis pressing down. So it doesn't matter how straight your legs are, it doesn't matter if your legs are here, but we're pressing the heels away, pulling the toes towards us, pressing the pelvis down. Like rub the back of your legs. Give them a nice rub here. And then slowly turn the toes out with the heels towards each other like Charlie Chaplin and rub the outside of your legs. And then back again. Rubbly doubly dub, keep pressing the back of your pelvis into your mat. Go right down near your bum. That's it, out with the toes again. Lovely, and then take those legs nice and wide and rub the inside of the legs. Good, we're just going to switch on pelvic floor. So legs can be straight or bent for this. As we exhale, using a puppy breath out, we zip upwards as if we're wearing tight high-waisted jeans, and we bring the legs together. We can use our hands to support the legs. And it feels like you're zipping up from the pelvic floor through the lower belly, right up to the ribs. And then releasing. And as you come up, the whole of the corsatory muscles suck inwards and upwards, and then release. Good, keep those legs apart again. Another rub just onto those adductors, pulling those toes back, pressing the heels away. Exhaling, drawing them up. Now, pelvis lifted with hands, or hands above the head. See what feels good. Try doing penny farthing cycling. So you need to breathe to pull the legs back in towards your pelvis. Couple of breaths out. Pelvic floor is lifted, core is activated. See what feels okay for you. That's a little bit harder, this version. And then the other direction. Backwards cycling. And then knees into chest. Massage the pelvis. Circling in one direction with both knees and then the other direction. Good. Let your right knee come right up towards your chest. Stretch out the left leg. Arm above the head. Whole body stretch now. So as you breathe in, toes and fingers away from each other, and then float your toes and fingers over to the right side of your mat. It's a little bit similar to the beginning of the practice, opening up into the ribs here, but now we've got the hips as well, right down to the toes. And back into the center, both knees up, rock from side to side, a little baby pose. And that's the way. And then keep this left knee up, slide the right leg away. Whole body stretch. Let's give yourself a little float up and over to the side. Beautiful. That's it. Both knees up. Grab hold of your feet, your ankles, your shins, maybe your toes. Come into full baby pose, rocking from side to side. Now let your shoulders soften. You want to have the back of your shoulders pressing down into the ground. You want to have the whole of your back feeling like it's melting into the ground. And this is just a really nice way to massage across the spine and open up the groin. If it feels right for you to open your legs more, stretching the heels away from you, then you can do the bigger version. Both versions are doing the job. That's the way. Then bring your knees back in again. Hug yourself into a ball, arms out to the side. Drop the knees to one side, looking over the other shoulder. Gentle stretch. You can always stretch out that front top leg. If you want to go a bit more into that sciatic nervy stretch, you can always take that top leg out. And then up and over to the other side, twist. Maybe taking the top leg out as well. Rinsing, lovely. Give yourself a splay out Shavasana just for a minute or so. We're going to let the body integrate the stretches, the squeezes, the releases. Feel your bones becoming heavy. Feel as if there are warm pebbles sitting in the palms of the hands. So just allow the hands to feel nice and soft and heavy. Take your mind's eye just between the eyebrows into that third eye point, and imagine you're breathing in and out of that third eye point. Every time you exhale, imagine that your mind is softening. Just releasing and softening, dropping back in your head. See if you can tap into the gentle buzz just underneath the skin surface of the whole body now. Feeling the prana, the life force, just moving around the body. And mentally saying to this body of yours, whatever state it's in at this moment in time, just saying to your body, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you know that given the right circumstances, your body is doing the best it can to look after you, to heal, to operate in homeostasis. Take a deep breath in, stretch. And then take yourself into a little ball. And we're just going to have a little bit of a rock and roll up and around the mat. So allow your bottom to go from one side of the mat to the other. So we get this. This is an Ashtanga yoga trick to reboot the whole central nervous system. And it's also just quite fun just to rock and roll around. You can even do a whole circle and then come all the way up. Oh, good. Give yourself a little shake. Give yourself a lateral stretch. Oh, give yourself a roll. One direction, other direction, and then just place your head, oh, bit dizzy now, place your head on top of your neck. Feel those shoulders sliding down your back. Just come and sit for a moment with real awareness of your spine, of your posture, of the softness of your face, the released sensation around your shoulders. The coolness of the breath in and the warmth of the breath out. And take the hands out to the side, turn the palms, and as you breathe in deeply, imagine you're pulling fresh energy up and around your body. Hold the top of the breath and then go. Thank you.